And good morning, everybody. Welcome, Hot Takes Goodman and Haertl. Bruce, a little chilly outside this morning. Huh?
Dude, 24, 23 degrees, something like that, right? I hope people covered the plants. Or is it so cold out that even covering the plants doesn't do any good? 21, 22, I'm told. Remember, I am in the throes of meteorology right here.
Right.
I'm working on my seal even as we speak.
Is that right? Is that what you're going to do in retirement? You're going to become a weatherman?
Yes, I'm going to become a meteorologist.
Nice.
It's what I really like. I love standing in front of green screens and pointing. It's good stuff.
Well, I love this weather because usually we're big carnivores in this house. Usually we hang meat in our living room, and I was able to move it outside this morning onto the deck.
That was very resourceful of you. Really good job. Did you watch any of the baseball game last night?
No. Did
you watch any of the hockey game last night?
Yes.
What'd you think of the 4 goals in basically 4 minutes?
How about 8 goals in about, 12?
Yeah, that was crazy, wasn't it? But the Avs are skating, what was it? It was 4-0.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, the Devils went boom, 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 boom. It was like, it was just crazy is what it was. But I really liked the way that they just kind of stiff-armed them on the power play, by the way. How about that? Multiple power play goals last night for the Avs, who have been power play challenged for far too long. And then doubling them up 8-4. And that's a really good Devils team. They'd won like 8 straight skating into to Denver last night. So I was really glad to see that. And then Victor Olofsson, is this who we're this he's got a hat trick last night and 5 points?
Well, listen, just because you hit a home run doesn't mean you're a home run hitter.
That's right.
He's on a heater, and that's great. We'll see if it continues. Any type of production from him is going to be a bonus.
Yeah, no question.
So you take what you can get from a guy who is not expected to be near the top of your score sheet at the end of the season.
So let's see, I think I'm doing my math right. They've played 11 games and have lost only 1.
In regulation.
In regulation. Lost only 1 in regulation.
Right.
Do you look at their early lack of success in overtime and the shootout as an issue? Or is that not really a big deal?
No, because shootouts don't happen in the playoffs.
Right. Oh, that's right. Exactly. Okay.
And because of that, I kind of push that to the side. But you would think with all the scoring punch that they have, they would be better at it.
You would think so, right? Yeah. Okay. But anyway.
I mean, if you're rolling out Makar, McKinnon, and Netchis, just as an example, and I'm not including Lehkonen and Nichushkin and whoever else, Taves maybe.
Yeah.
You would think with just those 3 guys that I mentioned right off the hop, they're going to score twice, right? I think the real question is which of Denver's 3 teams currently playing, the major teams. I don't want to leave out somebody and then I get in trouble. I once did that when I was at Fox 31. I said our 4 sports teams, and the Rapids got really bent out of shape.
Oh, dear. Well,
yes. But you know what? They handled it in a very cool way. And it happened when I was sitting in the office that you are currently sitting in now. I got a call. It wasn't from the team president. I think it might have been their head of PR. And they invited me out there to fully experience the Rapids. So they took me to a big tailgate. And then they gave me a tour on the field. And then I watched the game in a suite. And they really rolled out the red carpeting for me.
That's nice.
The red carpet for me. And after that, I still thought to myself, why the fuck would I watch soccer?
Yeah.
I'm kidding. No, I'm totally kidding. It was a great experience.
No, and that is a really good way to do it. Yeah. Good for them.
They handled it in a way where it was very disarming, but they made their point. And I received a wonderful experience out of that. With that, when you look at the 3 teams currently playing, and notice I prefaced it by saying our major sports teams. That's why I do that now.
Right.
Or major sports teams. Which offense is better, The Broncos, the Avalanche, or the Nuggets?
It's got to be the Nuggets, isn't it?
Yeah, what they're averaging.
That's 130 point a game type of offense right now. So, right. I mean, I think if you compare and contrast, you'd have to have the Broncos somewhere in the 28 to 31 point range to be kind of in that. I mean, if you're going to compare the two.
Right.
Although the Avs.
Look at the last 5 quarters for the Broncos. What, 77 points?
Yeah, right.
That's pretty hard to top, isn't it?
Sure is.
And I certainly understand, the argument for the Nuggets. But look what the Broncos have done: 77 points in 5 quarters, and then the Avs score 8 goals. I mean, what's more unlikely? Scoring 8 goals in a hockey game, averaging 127 points, or not being below that in 3 games, whatever it is, or scoring 77 points in 5 quarters? What's most unlikely?
Boy, I think it'd be between the 8 goals in a hockey game and the 77 points in 5 quarters.
Right.
All right. I mean, although, not many teams are going to average 127 to 131 points in the NBA.
No.
So what you're saying is we've got really 3 very offensive teams going right now. That's kind of nice.
Yes. And you're using the word offensive in a positive way.
Yes, of course I am.
Okay, real quick. Want to let you know about the Sportsbook Bar and Grill in the DTC Highlands Ranch. And then, of course, in Parker, it's their new location there. On Broncos Sundays, you can win a Broncos jersey during every Broncos regular season game at each location. So now they have 3 of them. They always have great ticket giveaways. And in Highlands Ranch, the one that I go to, they're giving away a pair of tickets this upcoming Sunday. So go over to the Sportsbook Bar and Grill. Again, you can find them in Highlands Ranch, the DTC, and Parker as well. Food is outstanding. I'm having a holiday party. I'm catering in their Philly cheesesteak egg rolls. That's how great it is. I do takeout there all the time. Food's great. Every seat's a great seat in the house, and it really is a sports bar that was built by sports fans. When you walk in, you'll probably say, probably would have done it the same way. Go check out the Sportsbook. Time now for The Lead.
The Lead is presented by Sasquatch Casino, a family-owned casino that treats you like family.
NFL Network, Ian Rappaport reporting about an hour ago that Pat Surtain will not be put on the IR. He's expected to miss about 3 weeks. That means he will not play against the Texans, the Raiders, and the Chiefs. Clearly, the Chiefs game is the most important game of the bunch. I think it's a bit of a risk because look what happened with Dre Greenlaw. They didn't put him on IR. Then they had to put him on IR. And you want as many able-bodied players on your roster as you can. And by keeping Surtain on the roster, you're not going to be able to do that. So calculated risk. They know more about his situation than I do. But then again, they thought they knew more about Dre Greenlaw's situation too.
A pec strain leaves all kinds of interpretation, a latitude of interpretation that I think the the quad probably did for Dre Greenlaw. It was something as soon as they did not put. When I left on Sunday, there were murmurings about. In fact, people were talking about shoulders, but it seemed to be a pec injury right from the start. But there seemed to be an attitude of, well, wait and see, obviously. But the hopes was that it wasn't too bad. Now, pec strains are weird. They can get to be worse than strains pretty quickly if you let them. But this is really good. And as soon as they opted not to go with IR yesterday afternoon, it was pretty much a fait accompli. I thought it was on Monday when they didn't put him on IR. But yeah, you're right. It's a calculated risk. Anytime that you're dealing with tissue and with that kind of injury, there is a chance that you could bring a player back early, but they've got that information and they feel pretty comfortable with it. And frankly, I think that they have felt pretty comfortable with it really from jump.
In the meantime, ESPN's Adam Schefter is reporting the Broncos have made some calls about available wide receivers at next Tuesday's trade deadline. Would you be willing to give up a draft pick, let's call it third, fourth, fifth, or sixth, for a solid number 2 guy? Or are you good right now at the midway point of the season, sticking with Franklin, Bryant, and Mims, giving them reps? Hopefully they improve, and by the end of the season, one of those guys will stand out to be a really good sidekick to Courtland Sutton.
Yeah, I'm my deal on that is, how deeply is Marvin Mims in the concussion protocol, and how long will he be?
That, to me, honestly, Bruce, that should not play into the decision.
Then I don't. Then I'm good with what they've got.
Okay,
I'm not giving up a third round pick or third or fourth round pick. I might be swayed if you get down around a late 5 or a 6, maybe then, but no, absolutely not on a third or fourth round pick.
Okay, well, let me ask this question another way. If you have a guy who is really good, who's going to step in and be a solid number 2, I'm not saying Pickens to Lamb, I'm not saying T. Higgins to Chase, but I'm saying a guy who's more than pretty good, that you know is going to command a lot of attention, and you are in a Super Bowl window and you have to give up a 4th round pick. You don't want to win now, or do you want to wait to see if you can get what you get?
Well, I mean,
I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Well, I'll turn the question around on you. Do you think that they're lacking in the wide receiving room? I don't think they're lacking.
They are.
Okay.
They're lacking in consistency. They're not lacking in talent.
So here's my problem with. I think that you've got to be very careful with chemistry. I think you got to be very careful with the room. I think that if you feel like you have the pieces in place to do what you need to do in your offense,
mm-hmm.
and if you believe, for instance, that Troy Franklin is a WR2,
mm-hmm.
and he hasn't been a consistent one, I'm not going to try to push back on that. But he looks to me to be on that kind of path. You better be careful about adding. And I'll put it in your terms. If you are absolutely positive that you can go out and get a piece that makes that room better right from the start, but who are you going to push back on right now? Is Pat Bryant on the come or not?
Absolutely.
I think he's on the come.
Mm-hmm.
Marvin Mims is at least still as good a piece as he's been towards the end of last year. Troy Franklin is scored 3 touchdowns in his last 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
He still will drop a ball every now and then. I'm not going to deny that. And then Courtland Sutton, I think, has elevated to a legitimate WR1 this year. You better make sure that you first of all can be immediately better by bringing in a player.
Okay, I'll throw a name at you who might be available. Jacoby Myers with the Raiders.
He's interesting.
You can find, and there we go. That starts the conversation.
He's interesting. Yes, I would agree.
You can get him for a 5th round pick. You making the deal? He's going to be a free agent, I believe, after this year.
Yeah. I would be stunned if the Raiders would make that deal, but
they're so far out of it at the end of the day, they'd rather have the draft pick.
Yeah, maybe so. I'd entertain that. I don't know anything about Jacoby Myers as a teammate.
Yeah.
And that's my biggest deal right now. Look, I'm not jumping the shark for a WR2. You know what I mean?
If he's a bad guy, clearly you're not bringing him in. If he's a potential locker room wrecker because he's a diva, or he has attitude issues and he puts things on social media or says things in the locker room that maybe he shouldn't, like, gee, I don't know, AJ Brown. Yeah, that to me is a concern. But, honestly, when in all the years I've covered football, the NFL, which is too many years to count, how many guys have you really known that are just really bad teammates? Not a lot.
Yeah.
Small handful.
But here is my question.
Disruptive in the locker room. There aren't a ton of guys out there like that.
How much of a – okay, so here's my question when you bring up a guy like Jakobi Meyers.
And I'm just throwing his name out there.
No, who I actually like.
Yeah.
And he tends to play well against the Broncos, but be that as it may, do you gain that much over a Troy Franklin if you're basically comparing apples to apples? Because someone's targets are going to go down.
Bruce, okay. I'll throw Jalen Waddle in there just for fun too. Okay. With that, are you about winning now or riding out the storm for Troy Franklin to become more consistent? Are you trying to win now, or are you trying to microwave the growth of Pat Bryant, where by the end of the season, hopefully he's going to be nowhere near he is in 3 years? You have young wide receivers, and even though Mims is in the concussion protocol, they use him more as a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, they do.
A consistent number 2 wide receiver. That's why.
Yeah, he's not a 2. Yeah, he's not a 2. The 2 right now would be Troy Franklin.
Do you believe this offense with a solid, consistent number 2, you know what you're getting every game? Remember, everyone is all on the Franklin train, and I'm more than fine being on the Franklin train. Shoot, the guy should have a nickname if he continues to do what he's doing. You know what his nickname should be?
Don't know.
7-11. He's always open. He scores touchdowns, and he wears number 11. How do you like that for a triple entendre? Nice. Scores 7, wears 11, he's always open. But that's what we saw in the last game. Doesn't mean we're going to see it in the next game.
No. He's on about an 800-yard pace. He's an 800 kind of yard receiver with about 9, maybe 10 touchdowns, maybe not 9 or 10 touchdowns.
Your job as a general manager and as a head coach, unfortunately, is the same job as a financial advisor who has his Series 7's license. Your job is to predict the stock market.
Yeah.
Your job is to predict futures on these players. Where are they going to be at the end of this season? Where are they going to be in 2 years and 3 years? Having a crystal ball in your back pocket is part of the job description. So,
yeah, good call. You're right.
The question for Peyton and Peyton is, will Troy Franklin be a legitimate number 2 by the time the playoffs hit? If you think you know the answer to that question, you're lying. We know he has, so when you ask me that question, he has the talent to do it. I think Pat Bryant has a higher upside, believe it or not, than Troy Franklin. Only because he is that guy who's going to catch a lot of passes, not drop a lot of passes, and make key blocks. He, to me, is more like a Rod Smith type.
He is.
Does everything well, and he's just getting going.
But Franklin has great deep ball potential.
And you can't coach speed. I understand that. The question is, can you coach hanging on to the ball?
Yeah. Yeah, that if there's a question about Troy Franklin, at least from the outside looking in, that would be it. Anything that you can do to improve your football team that you're sure it can be improved without upsetting the apple cart, then you got to do it. I mean, right? So from that standpoint, I mean, I would listen to Jalen Waddle. I would probably listen to Jakobi Meyers. I would probably listen to Shaheed down in New Orleans.
God, please let's not go down the Bayou Road again.
He's pretty good. He's not bad.
He's
not
a good
bad
player. Listen,
yeah,
he is a good player. He has a history of injuries, unfortunately, and he can contribute immediately as a kick returner while he learns the offensive playbook. He's a good wide receiver. He's not a great wide receiver.
Yeah. I think it would have to be, and this is, I think, kind of what you're saying.
If we're going to take a wide receiver off of the Saints' hands, give me Olave.
Yeah, he was nice last week.
Yeah, would you like him?
Yeah, I don't mind him.
I am guessing for the right price he could be had, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Sean has a few connections in New Orleans.
He does indeed.
Just ask him.
I will leave this conversation saying, if you believe that you can make a move for a WR2,
yeah,
and if you believe in the power and the strength of a WR2 to tip the scales, to be the final piece, maybe, and it's not the final piece, they've got to get a blocking tight end in there first, but or at least pretty quickly, then great, make the deal. You have that information. You know what you're dealing with in your locker room and all the things that go with it. But you're also talking about an offense, and we'll see how they do this week, that seems to be, and I don't know how much 5 quarters is enough of an example. I'd like to see it more over 10 quarters than over 5 quarters, but you've got an offense that's cooking pretty well right now. Do you believe that this is the kind of offense that it can be the rest of the season? I don't know.
Bruce, I hate to give you pushback on this. Let's pump the brakes on the offense is cooking. They did it, and good on them. They took care of business.
Right.
We'll get into this next, but I'll just throw a teaser at you. They are cooking with one of the most unlikely outcomes in the fourth quarter in NFL history.
Absolutely.
They're cooking with that. And then they cooked the second worst defense in football.
Absolutely.
That was missing, by the way, a bunch of players with injuries. So before we hang our hat,
and we're not, and I'm not. I'm saying if they believe that they have something going, if they believe that they have the type of momentum and they're seeing the type of things they want to see in their offense, then great. I'm not sure I see those things, and that was part of my skepticism on Monday when we talked about this.
Would you be willing? Okay, I'm going to tease this before we go into break.
All right,
I'll frame it to you this way. Are you willing to make a bet on the Broncos right now straight up to win the Super Bowl? Quick yes or no?
No.
Would you be far more willing to make a bet? Don't answer it because it's the tease. Would you be more than willing to make a bet on the Broncos to win, or let's just say get to the Super Bowl if they put up 35 on the Texans? Defense. That's next.
Here's another great promotion from Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos in Black Hawk. On December 13th, it's their annual holiday auction for a pair of Super Bowl tickets, tools, jewelry, electronics, toys, and kitchen appliances. Earn auction currency with every locked-up jackpot, players' points, or a daily cash drawing. There's so many ways to earn currency, and the more you play, the more you'll be able to bid and win what you want at their auction. So get up to Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos and start stacking your auction currency today.
Everyone has their favorite barbecue spot. Mine, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew. My favorites, slowly smoked ribs, smoked corned beef Reuben, smoked meatloaf with a portobello balsamic cream sauce. Don't forget about Smokin' Dave's 16-hour smoked brisket and pork with one of their 4 homemade barbecue sauces. Great sides, you bet. Barbecue beans made with pork and brisket and their southern corn bake. Man, you got to try it. Plus, they have amazing non-barbecue entrees on the menu. Go where I go, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew in North Denver.
Ferguson's Heating and Cooling is the best in Denver, and their customers agree. Ferguson's has 165 5-star Google reviews, and here's one from Betsy. Highly professional, prompt, and honest. I switched to Ferguson's when I became aware my former company was trying to sell me a whole new system I didn't need. Ferguson's is an honest, working, family-owned business that'll give you a fair price, the highest quality parts and equipment, and they always show up on time. You can trust the Ferguson family like you trust your own family. Go to fergusonsheatingandcooling.com.
Everyone has their favorite sports bar. Mine, the Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch, DTC, and now in Parker. All their locations are everything a sports bar should be. An upscale menu with 12 different burgers, outstanding wings, and my favorite, the Philly cheesesteak egg rolls. They've got every game on the NFL Sunday Ticket, MLB Extra Innings, NHL Center Ice, NBA League Pass, plus soccer, rugby, and UFC. Sportsbook, great hangout bar, great for private parties. The Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch, DTC, and now in Parker. They are the sports bar.
Ever wondered where city and county fleet vehicles go when they retire? Now's your chance to find out and score big. Imagine driving away with a great deal on a reliable vehicle. For over 45 years, Roller Auction has been the trusted source for government fleet vehicles and equipment. Trucks, SUVs, sedans, and more, all selling to the highest bidder. Don't miss out. Visit roller.bid/hot takes to get auction updates today. Your next vehicle could be just a click away.
Here's another great promotion from Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos in Black Hawk. On December 13th, it's their annual holiday auction for a pair of Super Bowl tickets, tools, jewelry, electronics, toys, and kitchen appliances. Earn auction currency with every locked up jackpot, players' points, or a daily cash drawing. There's so many ways to earn currency, and the more you play, the more you'll be able to bid and win what you want at their auction. So get up to Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos and start stacking your auction currency today.
And welcome back. Hot Takes, Goodman and Haertl. Want to tell you about Ferguson's Heating and Cooling. A couple of weeks ago, I'm in Chicago. I'm walking to Starbucks getting a cup of coffee, and Mandy calls me and said, our hot water heater is out. It is leaking. What should I do? I said, well, call Dawn at Ferguson's Heating and Cooling. She and Cody are married. They run a business together, a family-owned business. That's why it's Ferguson's, because it's a family-owned business. They came out that day. We had hot water the day after. It was great. Great customer service. Bang, bang. They were there. They took care of everything. The price was fair. Cannot thank them enough for taking care of us as quickly as they did. And I don't think they took care of me just because I work with them. They do that with everybody.
Sure.
And that's the type of company that you want to work with. And they don't sell you stuff that you don't need. That stuff really pisses me off when it does. Like you go into the mechanic, right? And they tell you it's this. It's not like, if you don't know much about cars like me, you open up the hood of your car and there's a sign in there that says carburetor. There aren't flashcards in there. So you kind of have to believe them. But with no hot water and the thing leaking all over the place, it was pretty obvious that they weren't going to tape it up. Ferguson's Heating and Cooling, highly recommend them. Ferguson'sHeatingandCooling.com. Time now for What's Trending.
What's Trending is presented by Ferguson's Heating and Cooling. Your family should trust the Ferguson family for all your heating and cooling needs, and you'll see why they have over 165 five-star Google reviews. Make an appointment today at Ferguson'sHeatingandCooling.com.
So teasing it going into the break, I said to you, right now, are you willing to put even money on the Broncos going to the Super Bowl? You said no. I would wholeheartedly agree with you. With that, if they go out there with the way the offense is played over the final 5 quarters against the number 1 defense in the league, the Texans, statistically, they are the best in terms of yards given up and points given up. They go out there and put up 35 on these guys on the road. Is it LFB? Let's fucking bow to the Super Bowl. Are you feeling that way? If they do that to the Texans?
That would be a quantum leap from where I have them right now, I think.
That's my point.
Yeah.
That's my point exactly.
But if you go and do that without adding a receiver, then the answer of adding a receiver becomes kind of moot, because they just scored 35 in Houston against the Texans. So, there is no question that the view from 10,000 feet of the Broncos changes tremendously if they're in the 20, I'll even go 28 to 35 range this week against the Texans. I don't think that it will be. I think this will be much more in the, 17, 14, 20 to 13 kind of range than the other way. But that would be sure a nice problem to have.
Yeah. So with that, Broncos offense is ranked top 10 in the league right now in yards, points per game, and rushing yards. Does this feel like a top 10 offense to you?
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I mean,
So does it feel like, with what you've watched, the entire body of work, does this look like a top 10 offense in the NFL?
It doesn't look like a consistent top 10 offense, but it has been a good enough offense at various times to add to two really good games that they've had, Cincinnati, Dallas. You know, they've had great fourth quarters. They've done their yards differently than most teams. They've had them all at, you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like you got to be careful about how you're viewing the flat line statistics can be a little misleading. Now, you still got to go out and get the yards, right?
Yeah.
You still got to go out and produce them. So you give them credit for that. But what did we talk about last week? Or we want to see this to be a consistent offense that is producing as the game is going on, that is playing complementary football, that's keeping defenses off the field so that they're not on the field constantly. They need still to give more proof that they can be that type of offense before I'm all in on them. So are they a top 10 offense? Yeah. Are the statistics a little misleading? Probably a little misleading. You still have to get them, but how you get them kind of is important because you want consistency in your attack.
Let's break down the inconsistency in theory, or let's take a deeper dive on how we got to those numbers. All right. Let's start with this. You mentioned two of the teams. The Bengals and the Cowboys are the two worst defenses in the league in terms of yards and points. The Cowboys are 31st. The Bengals are 32nd in both of those categories, meaning those defenses are like a village bicycle. Everybody's getting a ride on those guys. Everybody is pumping their tires on those guys. Now, just for fun, now you can only play the teams on your schedule.
Of course.
And I certainly understand that. So they got over 400 yards against the Cowboys and the Giants, over 500 yards against the Bengals. In each of those games, the Broncos scored 28 points or more against those three teams. Sorry, but that greatly inflates your numbers.
Of course they do.
When you are fortunate enough, when you're fortunate enough to play against the NFC East, you're going to look pretty good. At least that's the way it's looking this season. Oh, by the way, let's throw in there just for fun. The Colts have a good scoring defense, but defense is based on yards because you don't know where your offense is going to pick up the ball and score. The Colts defense is ranked 24th in the league. The Titans defense is ranked 26th in the league. The Eagles are 20th. They have feasted, and rightfully so, and you can make the case they should have, against the Titans, the Colts, the Bengals, the Cowboys, and the Giants. That's why they're top 10. How do they do against the Chargers? Not as good. How do they do against the Jets, who aren't great anyway? Not as good. Now they're playing a defense that is really, really good. Let's see what this offense can do. So because this is what you're going to see from national media that doesn't watch every game. Well, the Broncos have a top 10 defense and a top 10 offense. They absolutely should be one of the favorites. You got to drill down to see how they got to this point. It's not to take anything away from this offense. It is about who they have played, though, as well. I think that plays a huge role in it, but this is going to play the biggest role. With what we saw in the Cowboys game, this is what's encouraging. Pre-snap penalties, 0. Penalties that kill drives, really 1, if not 0. Getting plays in where the shot clock isn't winding down to 0 and you have to call a timeout for delay game, that didn't happen against the Cowboys either. Personnel packages by Sean Payton, they were far more limited in the game against the Cowboys. If they can find a way to keep those penalties down that are drive killers and limit their personnel packages and keeping it simple for Bo and making sure that other defense has to stay on the field, that's going to be the key to this being a really good offense. Because right now, statistically, they're a top 10 offense because of the teams they play.
Right.
But against the Titans, how many pre-snap penalties? Against the Colts, how many drive-killing penalties? Against the Bengals, the Giants, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
They need to clean up their own mess. And if they find a way to do that like they did against the Cowboys, then I'm starting to believe in them. But right now, these numbers, I don't want to say are inflated, but they are misleading.
Misleading, certainly. Yeah, if you take them upon first glance, I mean, it paints a different kind of picture than what we're really seeing week in and week out. Now, and this is a really good game to judge because the Texans have been good against everybody. They've really been good against everybody. And yeah, it's a 3-4 football team, but this is a team that has won two of their last three. CJ Stroud is playing better. The knock on the Texans has been their offense or their lack of offense, but they were pretty good against what we generally perceive as a pretty good defense. The San Francisco 49ers last weekend, he threw for over 300 yards. I think the Texans are going to be a tough out.
Yeah.
But I will say this. It's a great test for the offense to finally pass midterms, right? We are just past the halfway point of the season. This is a really good midterm test for the offense and where they are right now. Can they continue? Because you and I agree on this. Even if the numbers are misleading, the confidence that you get from producing them is real. That is not debatable. Now you have a confident group, a relatively healthy group. You've got Palchevsky now playing his third straight game at left guard. That's going to be, and he's been pretty darn good by just basically any metric.
You know why he's been good? We haven't heard a referee say his name.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Yeah. And those guys, I mean, if
they'd probably mispronounce it anyway.
They probably would.
Okuweebanubinum. Is it Okuweebanubinum?
I like it's better. I like it better when they call his name out, saying 63 has reported as an eligible receiver. Right. It might be easier than saying Palchevsky. Yeah. But if they can get to the next level, and by that what I mean is if they get past their first level of blocks and are getting into the second level the way they were doing against the Cowboys, and that's a huge if. That's not a little if. That's an I and an F capitalized. If you can get to the second level against this football team and run the ball, then maybe you're looking at something or other that can stick, because this is the best statistically defense in the National Football League.
I want to circle back to something we talked about at the top of this podcast, and that was, should the Broncos make a trade for a wide receiver? And again, just to recap, in case you are joining us late, I think you and I both agree that it's important to see what Franklin and Brian can do moving forward. But then again, they are in a Super Bowl window right now. And if you're looking to win now, being patient is not going to be in your favor. They have talent at the wide receiver position. We have seen that talent on display. The question is, what makes a good player a great player is doing it every game, right? That's why Jamal Murray has never been an all-star.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
Because in the regular season, he doesn't do it, all the time. Now, is he on track maybe to be an all-star this year? I would say so, but that's another conversation for another day. So looking at the trade deadline coming up this upcoming Tuesday, take wide receiver out of the mix. Should they be in the market potentially for a tight end? They've only got two. They've got Troutman and they've got Ingram, and that's it. Lucas Krull is out. Nate Atkins is out. I mean, do you really want to bring up the kid that is a project
From
Lohner?
Utah, Caleb Lohner? No, probably not. And that's why they're bringing in guys like Mercedes Lewis. They need a blocking tight end without question.
And that will cost you less. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to bring in a guy who catches passes pretty consistently, it's going to be a higher draft pick. If you're going to bring in just a blocking tight end,
I think you're only bringing in a
fifth,
blocking
sixth round
tight
pick,
end.
maybe.
Yeah,
I think
maybe.
fifth is too high.
Yeah. If you trade for him.
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Should they trade for one? Do they need to trade for one?
I mean, that's pretty important for them.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, Sean loves his blocking tight ends. I think that and I knock on wood a little bit, I think he's found his receiving tight end. Evan Ingram is still really interesting to me. He's kind of like, he's a first down guy, isn't he? I mean, I'm not going to call him a first down machine, but they're using him in those kind of situations where they need to pick up yards for a first down, and he's been successful. I'm just wondering what he looks like at the next level. Like they up him to, the 3 or 4 more targets a game and what they could do with him, because he's been pretty good for 5 weeks now.
Let me ask your observation. When Evan Ingram is targeted, for the most part, is he covered or is he open? To me, he's mainly open.
Yeah, he's mainly open. He's not like widely open, but he has enough space to work in,
right,
to catch and turn.
So that should answer your question.
Yeah,
if he's open a lot,
yeah,
then you target him more.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, I would rather throw to the guy who's open.
Yes.
Football 101. I'm a layman. Everyone has forgotten more about football than I know, but
right.
I do know throwing to the guy that open is usually the smart play.
It's a pretty good play. And that's where and Troy Franklin is the guy that gets open. Yeah. Troy Franklin runs pretty good routes. He finds space, and the thing with Troy is that every time a ball goes his way, there's just a little bit of me that goes, catch the ball. Just catch the damn ball. And
so heading into the playoffs, as we now come back full circle again, let's say they're in a playoff game and it's the fourth quarter and the ball is in the air and Troy Franklin is waiting for it. You feeling good?
Well, I think the answer is yes, because
but you hesitated.
No,
that's usually the initial answer.
I'm trying to it's difficult to forecast 9 more weeks. They've got 8 more games in 9 weeks with a bye. I mean, how much better of a receiver is Troy Franklin at that time?
He'll be a better wide receiver if they don't bring somebody else in.
Yeah.
But where is he at?
I mean, if you believe that Troy Franklin is right now, an 850-yard kind of guy and is in the 8 or 9 touchdown realm.
Oh, yeah, it's huge.
I mean, that's pretty big. Now, I'm not saying that's an automatic, but that's his pace right now.
When Peyton and Peyton look at Troy Franklin, the question is not, does he have talent? Can he get open? Can he score touchdowns? Can he rack up a whole bunch of yards when we need them? The question is, can he do it every game?
Yeah.
And that's what you say about young players.
You're right.
But when you're in a Super Bowl window, do you want to roll the dice with a guy like that?
And isn't it
interesting? Where his off game happens to be a playoff game.
And isn't it interesting that we, and I'm not saying we're being demonstrative about it, but other people are saying it as well. They are in a championship window. It may be a crack that they just slipped through. But Sean Payton has kind of called his shot with this football team, hasn't he? No. Really, at the end of the day, Sean Payton has called his shot with this football team. And if right now you believe that the Broncos may even just have a toe in a championship window, then you know what?
I think
he's called the shot pretty well.
they have the roster to be in a championship window. And when you look at the rest of the AFC, the window gets widened a little bit.
Yeah,
Because,
right.
I mean, who are you looking at and saying, ooh? Now, I know the Chiefs are coming. You know, I've watched the Bills enough. I'll be honest with you. Josh Allen's great.
Yeah.
You know, I love me some number 4. I get that. But I'm not overly impressed. They don't look like a dominant team to me.
No.
But we haven't seen the Patriots yet either.
No.
We have seen the Colts up close.
Yep.
And they haven't slowed down. That win over the Broncos was hardly a fluke.
No.
With that, that's going to do it for us.
They got a
Hot
pretty
takes-
good call when they needed it. I will say that.
Hot takes Goodman and Haertl. Make it the best possible day you can.